Why didn't Joe Biden run for president in 2016? Joe Biden decided to run for the presidency 3 times in 1988 when he was forced out of the race due to charges of plagiarism. In 2008 when he lost in the primary to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And in 2020 to unseat Donald Trump. Typically vice presidents run for the presidency 2 terms following a popular outgoing president. But why didn't Joe Biden run for president 8 years after his vice presidency like George H.W. Bush and Al Gore did 8 years after their vice presidencies? The usual explanation is that he and his family were still grieving the loss of his son Beau. His family lost Beau and he himself was fairly tired, I think, from a very active time as VP compared to normal, assisting in lots of major legislation during Obama's years. He probably would not have run in 2020 if it wasn't for Trump. His son unfortunately passed around that time, but imagine where the world would be if he had ran in 16. As others have said, it's because of his son's death. Beau died in May 2015. When the campaign season was starting to heat up, Ted Cruz had announced his candidacy in March, and Hillary in April. Jeb and Trump announced their candidacies just 9-10 days after Beau's funeral. Campaigning is exhausting, and Biden was still grieving the loss of his son. Read Biden's book, Promise Me, Dad. Will give you a sense of how empathy matters, and most politicians are totally devoid of it. I would say that Hillary was the more favored candidate with the DNC. Her fundraising abilities were bigger and there was more enthusiasm with the base. However, they were blindsided by her lack of charisma and the objection of another dynasty with independence. As others had said, he'd recently lost his son Beau and wasn't feeling emotionally healed enough to run so soon. For those saying he stepped aside for Hillary to appease Barack, they need to rewind and review history, because Joe was vocal about supporting Bernie in 2016. Joe Biden was still grieving the loss of his son Beau, who died of brain cancer in May of 2015. I thought he should have been the candidate. He's so moderate that he would have had more support than Hillary, given the propaganda strewn around about her. Hillary should run again if Joe decides not to run. She was right about everything. The problem was she was so forward-thinking about where Trump would take this country, and we all had a failure of imagination of how terrible he would be. Oh, but her emails are not even a parking ticket with the shit Trump has done. Easy HRC was seen as the slam dunk candidate and was basically the chosen one for the DNC at that point. It was Hillary's turn. Stupid reason. He ran in 2020 because of the danger Trump causes. I don't think he had any intention of getting back in any office until 2020. I'm sure it took lots of talking it up from top Democrats and donors. The public reason he was mourning the death of his son. The private reason Obama didn't think he could win. Because the Democrats were so disconnected that they thought Hillary could win. A fake. There was a deal between the Clinton and Obama camps that Clinton's support from 2008 to 16 would mean support for Hillary in 2016, and Obama's word has weight. Hillary was the designated heir. She was given the job of Secretary of State to give her more political cred to run in 2020. I think the Democratic leadership picks the succession. They had picked Hillary when Obama ran. But he made such a splash. They were unable to sideline him the way they usually do when someone challenges their succession. Ergo, it was Hillary's turn once Obama left office. Bottom line, the Democratic nominee is not selected by the Democratic voters. It's always made me wonder what other choices they take from voters if they are willing to take away the right to choose a nominee so easily. The biggest problem with their approach is it doesn't reflect what voters want. And Trump is the result. There are myriad explanations, but the most impactful one is that the Democratic Party cleared the decks for Hillary. Because Hillary had the DNC locked up financially. Well-documented fact. She controlled the dollar. It was her turn. Because everyone knows it was Hillary's turn, that's why the DNC forced Sanders out. She was the anointed one. Hillary Clinton also had a strong mindset that it was her turn, and the DNC kind backed her up on that. It was Hillary's to win. Everyone knew she would. And the Democrat Party picks their nominees. That's why. There's been a long plan to install Hillary. 2016 was her best chance to win. The answer is simple: he wouldn't have won. And the country was not in the best of situations after Barry's second term. And it would have been very difficult to call Trump a liar if he were running against Biden at that time. Then 4 years later, with all the negativity in the world, Liar Joe was now deemed Honest Joe. Why Joe Biden does and didn't do a lot of things still boggles my mind. He probably couldn't give a straightforward answer, even if asked directly. Dropped out for plagiarism, haha. Boy oh boy, he have come a long way. You can bang a porn star while your wife is squeezing out a kid and win. The stated reason was that his son had just died and he wanted to take a break from politics. Joe Biden had already been tired of politics by the time Beau died. That had the latter never died, he would have retired from politics anyway. He had just lost his son. And it's hard to maintain the kind of energy that a presidential run requires while he was dealing with all that. Also, it's good to give the nation a break from what they've had for 8 years. Former VPs haven't had a great track record running right after their respective presidents' second terms. Biden is not Obama, and it would have led to too many comparisons. I also doubt he would have beaten Trump in 2016. He had too much momentum and the right people around him. Trump does not have either of those things in 20 or now. He was going to, but Obama basically gave him permission not to because of Beau. I think that's what Biden has said. That Obama was the one that told him to go grieve his son or some such. The track record of Democrats who were VPs isn't good. Biden's the first Democrat VP to win a presidential election that I can think of. Truman was a VP but was president when he ran for second term, and the same goes for Johnson. Nixon and Bush 1 did it for the GOP in modern times. My thinking is Biden didn't think he had the support that HRC had. It's interesting to me that Biden and Clinton basically cleared the field in 2016, since the race was expected to be dominated by these two candidates. No other Democrats thought they had a serious chance. When Biden failed to enter, this left a big vacuum with Clinton running basically unopposed, which allowed Bernie Sanders to make a more serious run for it. In a way, Biden's role in 2016 was key for Sanders' rise to national prominence. I'm guessing because his son died in May of 2015, he was young, only 46, and left behind 2 young kids. I am assuming his head wasn't in campaign space and he had his grandkids. I'm sure he felt he had to be there for them. I've never lost a child, but I have 4 of my own, and Biden has lost 2 children. I am assuming the death of his son brought back painful memories of his wife and baby daughter dying. We are not supposed to hurrying our kids, and he had buried 2 at that time plus his wife. I can't imagine trying to run for president, especially against Trump during that time. Because it was HC's turn or whatever. DNC backed her fully. They wouldn't want both to run against each other. He would have been a better choice than Hillary Clinton. She was very qualified but didn't campaign very well at all. She just comes across as condescending. She didn't take Trump seriously.